So I left you here thinking about the future, and it's something we need to think about. It was brought to my attention that I skipped a slide, so I'm going to go back for a minute to biomass, which honestly, this is the future, so it's perfect time to bring it up. I talked about the fact that biomass is the only renewable energy source that's going to take care of our need for products made from energy, like our need to substitute petroleum that provides us with all these products. So corn, sugarcane, all these biomass fuels can be used through a process, can be fermented, and then you're going to see products such as plastic. And the beauty is this word right here, biodegradable plastic. So you're talking about plastic that once used and dumped can regenerate back into the earth to form these things again to later be able to form these. So it's an amazing sustainable principle use of energy. So we're thinking of the future. And I know that you look at this chapter, renewable energy, as this is the future. But the reality is the biggest, most important thing to do and the key to success in our environment is to always, always remember that this is the most important thing. We need to preserve and conserve what we have and the resources we have. We need to use them wisely. Think, save, don't overconsume. And at the same time, we obviously don't want to give up things like electricity and light, and let's even talk about renewable resources like water. But if you figure out a way to use them efficiently, and this should say efficiently, not efficiently, efficiently, or with the best possible technology around so that it's not being misused, that is the key to success. So preserve, and whatever you use to the point where you're going to get the most kilowatt hours, I'm sorry, the most wattage, less input and more output. So how can we improve efficiency and reduce wasted energy? Because that improving efficiency, so I'm going to give you ideas like get an efficient refrigerator, an efficient air conditioner, get an efficient water heater system. So why not switch to solar water heater? I mentioned in another video, and you need to know this, that the biggest consumer of energy in your home is your water heater. So by making it more efficient, there's things like getting subsidies or tax breaks from FPL if you upgrade your AC unit and water heater unit, which take up a lot of energy. But adding solar panels will reduce the amount of the need for fossil fuels and give you the same power. So that's a great thing to do. So switch out appliances or switch out the way you use those appliances. Keep your house well insulated so that the heat stays trapped in, or the cool air in that general, and use specific materials to reflect heat off your roof. So like white roofs or materials will reflect heat off your roof. And avoid leaks. So leaks and insulation, these are improving efficiency. Getting new appliances so that you get the most out of each unit of energy. And then reducing waste would be sealing and insulating. Okay, so think of that. Also, I want you to think that 84% of all commercial energy in the US is wasted. And if you look at this graph, and this is something I would have done in class, I would have said, tell me how much is or what do you think 41% of that 84 is wasted? Why? And hopefully you would remember that it's due to the law of thermodynamics. So this wasted energy is really unavoidable. I mean, that's just the law of energy. But 43% is actually wasted due to inefficient systems. So systems that are going to lose a lot during this process, the input, throughput, and output, systems that are not designed to maintain the energy or house the energy. So all of these things will lose waste, and not just from the law, but from an inefficient system. I mentioned in class, and I'm not sure if I did it with both classes, but when I started making these notes back, I don't even remember what year, let's say 4 years back from 2012, I believe this is when this was stated that During the election of Barack Obama, he proposed that 10% of our electricity would come from renewable energy by 2012 and 25% by 2015. I've already checked this stat, and it did happen. So I'm keeping this in my notes until 2025, so we could check on this stat. Obviously, we have a long time to wait, but it's cool to see such a growth from 10% to 25%. So I'm hopeful that's going to happen. And then, this is other things he talked about, and I've just kept it there over the years because I think it's interesting that we accomplish that goal. So more about cutting waste energy, but this is focusing on industry. So, I mean, a lot of energy is used in the industry, especially to provide us with energy. So if they could figure out ways to reduce losing that or losing energy and making the system more efficient. One of the ways that this is done, and you have to know this word, is cogeneration. So when you see this word, you're going to think of an efficient way to reduce wasted energy. And they also call it combined heat power. And I think I'm missing some, let me see, some of this actual, no, okay. And what happens here is they literally collect heat that's lost within the system, and then they use it to power. So they're figuring out a way to use the wasted energy and then reuse it to make energy. So that's cogeneration, which is combined heat power. We also want to figure out a way to replace old systems. So anything in a plant or in any part of the machine, the factory, any system like that was, because they're usually very old, because the reinvestment phase is hard, needs to be replaced to make it more efficient. Obviously, recycling and switching to efficient lighting, because this would reduce the need for resources, and this would help us reduce the amount of kilowatts per hour. So when you switch light bulbs, you get you see the difference in per hour production, you'll see. And fluorescent is considered an efficient form of lighting. So LED and fluorescence will be most likely a question to describe how you can reduce waste and improve efficiency in terms of lighting. Oh, God. So efficiency in general is something we're all working on, but one of the areas where it's really slow on is transportation. Part of it is really, obviously, the influence of the government. I mean, we have the means to switch to solar-powered electric cars. We've had that for years, but, petroleum still powers the market. And no matter how expensive petroleum might seem to us at any given point, if you look at prices around the world, it doesn't matter how much they peaked, we are relatively low per gallon in terms of what we pay. So that's an advantage when you think about it. So we don't have to worry about spending money in other fuels that are going to have initial costs and initial investments. People also really like their cars. They love their big cars. They love their vans. And most hybrid cars are pretty small. So I can't really keep on saying that because we've come a long way. And at the end of the day, maybe if we got some kind of subsidy or tax break for the purchase, or there would be bigger incentives for hybrids and electric cars and making the right choice, but there just isn't a lot of those. Like, I could see more in appliances than I do in making the right choice with switching to a more efficient form of energy for transportation. Efficiency in the future, this is what we're going to think of, and how can we do this? Obviously, I just mentioned, if we switch to cars, even switching to a hybrid, and I know the prices are relatively higher, but they are reducing. I know hybrid cars have to be plugged in, but keep in mind that we own coal, and we have a lot more coal than we do petroleum, right? Even though now we have shale oil, but your standard petroleum for transportation, and we could plug in to regenerate. So I know we're still using fossil fuels, but it's still an advantage. And Insulating the homes, as I mentioned in the previous slide, is going to keep all that energy secured inside your home and not leak outside or have wasted energy. And then proper home design. We call it making your home green. So making your home green would be new windows, new seals, roof that reflects heat, solar powered stations or some kind of renewable station for energy production with a backup system to the electric grid. But still, we know, I mean, I've been bombarding you with problems. I'm going to record this slide.